Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Good for the Soul. This is episode number 25. In this episode, I sat down with my friend Kyle Manzano of Manzano Tactical. He owns and operates and runs a shooting course and instruction program in the San Jose area of California. Him and I were Instagram homies, for a couple of years through talking about guns and firearms. And I ended up buying one of his slides that he had made that I have on one of my Glocks. So that was really cool. We've had that interaction. He's always been super supportive on helping me learn a couple things about guns, positioning, kit, all that good stuff. Well, since that time, a couple years back, we've been talking. I told him, hey, I was coming down. Let's go. I want to do some shooting. And while I'm in town, dude, you got to come train jiu-jitsu. And I was actually able to convince him. It didn't take much effort. He happens to live next to or within 5 or 10 minutes of Kyotera Academy. So basically, I was telling him, like, dude, you live next to one of the world-class jiu-jitsu gyms and instructors in the world. You gotta go. Like, you're missing out if you don't do this. So it was a pretty easy sell, knowing that there was that high level of competition and instruction for him to go to. He was sold easily, so I was able to bring him down to the mats and get his first day of jiu-jitsu with me. So that was exciting. And it's been a couple months since I think I left the San Jose area, and he's been going. He's been staying consistent. So it's been cool to see. We're texting back and forth about jiu-jitsu now, and that's a really fun time. So Kyle, proud of you. Stay on the mats. And this episode was really cool because a lot of people I talk to are black belts, instructors, professors, people who've been on the mats a long time. Well, being able to get that first experience fresh from Kyle was exciting. So hopefully you guys get something out of that from his story and about his couple days in jiu-jitsu and what he's seeing while being on the mats. And again, we talked about shooting. We talked about some other stuff as well because that's how we connected. So hopefully you guys get some out of that. I super enjoyed it. Before we jump into that, I want to remind you guys to go to jockofuel.com for your supplements, protein shakes, your superfood greens, the healthy energy drinks, the Jocko Goes. I got a bunch of flavors now. They're amazing. I love those things. I drink them all the time. So go to jockofuel.com, get yourself 10% off by typing in Good for the Soul at checkout. Again, jockofuel.com, 10% off at checkout. Type in Good for the Soul, make sure you get that credit and keep your body running and functioning properly. So without further ado, here we go. Good for the Soul, episode number 25 with Kyle Manzano. That's how I'm going to start this one off. Boom, right there before. Oh, dude, I'm glad we get to do this. Get to sit on and chat MT and jiu-jitsu, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, for those listening or whatever, we'll get into the shooting stuff, but quickly, you just started jiu-jitsu, man. You had your first class last week. Talk to us about it.
So this morning, you and I just rolled, and that was my 5th class this morning. It's been good, dude. So it's completely new to me. When I was growing up, I did Taekwondo. So I have a black belt Taekwondo, but I mean, it's so completely not relatable by any means. Literally the only thing that I remember from that going into this was respect the higher belts, respect the dojo, but the academy, the gym. And then, I mean, really it's just so new that all that didn't even, it's not relatable whatsoever.
Yeah, for sure.
Even then I did a couple competitions and whatnot, but again, karate or Taekwondo competitions are nothing like what I'm seeing from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competitions. Right. It just looks like straight bloodbath. And dude, everything from passing guards to even when we're rolling at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, wait, what am I even supposed to be doing right now? Mm-hmm. Because I always think it's submit, but the way that Gabriel explains it is well, you get points for doing this, you get points for doing this. I'm like, oh shit, dude, there's so much more into this that
There's so much, right?
So
it's
much.
like
so
drinking trying to drink water through a fire hose right now. For sure, and I totally feel you because even some days on some of the gyms I'm visiting, with high level technique, and I'm learning a lot of new details. So I can only imagine, day 5 for you. I like to think it was totally my fault for bringing you into jiu-jitsu because I was like, hey, I'm here.
It absolutely was, dude. 1,000,000% because I wouldn't have.
That's embarrassing. Okay, there we go.
I wouldn't have started it if you weren't hey, dude, come start this.
Yeah.
And the way that you were explaining Kyotera and that whole gym setup there with these guys are literally the best and they crank out the best. Not that I'm trying to become some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competitor, but like, I mean, that's in our backyard. That's like a 10, 15-minute drive from my house. Like, if Bruce Lee was teaching classes back whenever the fuck he was doing stuff, and someone's like, dude, come learn from Bruce Lee, and you're like, I'm good. You would look back at that like 30 years later and be like, fuck, I fucked up.
Yeah, for sure.
So I haven't actually learned under Kyle yet, but tonight's class, right? You said that he's going to be teaching that one. But yeah, dude, it's, I mean, like you said, it's just trying to drink through a fire hose, man. This shit's every little thing. There's a purpose for every little movement. If my ankle's twisted one way, there's a reason. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, for sure.
Just having that body familiarization, like, you know, like when people, like when you're spinning, people like know where they're at. I'm kind of like spin, and then I just black out, and then I land or don't land, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like that's how I fucking just did that. I didn't. And now jiu-jitsu, it's like I have to know, like, okay, where are my feet? Where's my hands? Where's my elbows? Like everything. I'm like, fuck, dude.
Well, what's cool, I think, about your personality, and correct me if I'm wrong, is, you know, we did our first class together last week. You know, for those listening, I'm down in the San Jose area, or we are, and you're a shooting instructor, so I came down here. We met online through Instagram, following mutual people, started hitting each other up about the gun world, right?
Right.
And then I was like, hey, I'm doing this trip. I'm going to be down in Cali, like, I'd love to come shoot, and maybe I'll drag you in the academy with me. So, one in the back of your head, you were probably like, yeah, damn right, he ain't pulling me over there.
I was definitely like, yeah, I mean, maybe we'll try it out, whatever. But I wasn't really thinking about it. I was thinking like, oh, cool, like what classes can you come to while you're down here? Like my classes.
Yep. Yeah, well, what I'm curious about too is, it seems like, again, correct me if I'm wrong, that your hooks are completely into jiu-jitsu. Because we did day one, and then I looked at your card today, and I was like, you've done 5, this will be your 5th class since like Tuesday or Thursday of last week or whatever. Like,
yeah. So yes, right. So yes, I'm trying to pick it up and become better at it. Like I said, I'm not trying to become like a competitor. For sure. Right? I'm not trying to do that stuff. But I graduated from college back in 2020. And the only stuff that I've like learned since then has really been shooting related. So I was like, well, let's kind of broaden our horizons a little bit.
Cool.
And let's, go into this, new realm. Like I said, even though I did Taekwondo as a kid, it's so like in one year out the other, completely forgotten that this was basically just an absolute new realm to me.
Yeah.
And it's a new form of martial arts, which is drastically different than Taekwondo.
Yep.
So yeah, I was like, yeah, fuck it. Like this can be the way, obviously, exercise, but then like learning how to fight, fuck yeah, and then just learning something new. So I was very open.
Cool. So. No, dude, yeah, and it's awesome because even, I mean, the last couple classes, I mean, day one, we went out to lunch and we're like, what is this? How do I do this? How, there's those questions now.
Because, dude, yeah, I mean, I'm like 280, right? And I'm at the end of the day rolling with people who are like a third my weight, and like I can pin them down through strength. But then, like, I can feel them, like, inching and, like, doing something to get out of it. And I'm like, okay, obviously they're trying to do something, but, like, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. And I don't know how to counter what they're doing. So, like, if they were ever doing something, I would just try to counter whatever that little thing was that they were doing. Like, oh, he's trying to grab my leg. It's like, all right, well, don't let him grab my leg. And it's like, I don't know why he's trying to grab my leg.
Yep.
I just know that he's, like, I'm not supposed to let him grab my leg.
Right.
So, like, that's how it's been, dude. That's how the last 5 classes, at the end of each class at Karatera, we roll for X amount of time. I don't know if that's like the norm.
Depending on which academy you go to, and in this class, we were doing the fundamentals classes, so the rolling is more situational based, you know what I mean? So we weren't doing full rounds. I think you have done a couple full rounds before, so it just depends. You know what I mean? So
even in the 5 days that I've gone, there's like, for an example, what was the technique we were learning today?
The Capitana sweep. Man,
yeah,
that one's hard for even me to
Dude, I was like, so that one, right?
Yep.
So
the defense to that one.
Exactly. So we learned the technique, and then we learned how to counter it, right? So.
Oh no, excuse me. It was threefold. We learned the guard pass, right? Classic grip the lapel, guard pass properly. Then we learned the defense to that, which is the Capitana sweep. And then we learned the defense to the Capitan sweep. So it's just never ending.
Yeah, the rabbit hole just kept getting deeper.
Yep.
So, so even for like that one today, right? Like the rolling at the end of the day was we started in that position basically, and then we had to, and then go, and then we had to get out of that or submit the person or whatever. So yeah, I can only imagine. I think the first or second time, it was like not a full on, but like we both started on the ground. We weren't like in a position.
Yep.
And like that was probably the most realistic, or not realistic, but you know what I mean, like the most like competition style one. But I'm assuming like every gym's different and every class is different, and like you do it.
Yeah, and when you progress, a few more months or however long they approve or let you, and then you can start going to advanced classes. Those are, they can teach similar technique, maybe broken down a little more, maybe a little faster pace, but you'll roll more live at the end.
Gotcha.
Typically, so yeah, some of the questions I have for you, because again, most of the time I sit down with people who've been doing jiu-jitsu for 10 to 25 plus years, so their perspective maybe of day one is skewed a little bit, and they're seeing it from the coach's side. So what was the experience like of saying yes to coming to jiu-jitsu with me, and then maybe walking through the door for the first time, and what were you expecting, and what was that experience like day one?
So let's break that down. So what was I expecting? I knew it was going to be martial art related, obviously. So like I kind of reverted back to that whole like style of, okay, it's gonna look like this, it's gonna sound like this, it's gonna be like this. We're gonna do some warm up, we're gonna get into some martial art shit. Like, so I was kind of like
martial art shit,
right? So I was kind of like thinking that, right? Like my 10 years ago, whenever the fuck that was. So that's what I was kind of expecting. I wasn't expecting, dude, so much cardio. Like, I know I'm not in my best shape, but dude, even Nate, who's like in solid shape, he was like, dude, after warm-ups in the morning, I thought I was gonna throw up. I'm like, dude, we're not even like doing insane cardio. I don't know if it's like the gis or what, dude, but like literally just, I don't know, man.
When you say the morning, because you did 6 a.m. class last week as well, right?
One of the classes we did was a 6:30 class, yeah.
Okay, yep, 6 a.m., okay.
So yeah, dude, like, and that, I think that was a fundamentals class, but it was not a fundamentals group. That group was advanced. There were more black belts than white belts. So that was a very advanced, in my eyes, that was an advanced group. But yeah, dude, the cardio, man, is like way more than I even remember football being, or any other sport I've ever played. It was awesome though. So I went in. Who was the chick who helped us out?
During
the very first day, like getting me a gi, like everything.
I don't remember her name. She's working the front counter.
Super nice.
Yeah, very nice.
Super
welcoming.
Nice.
Yep.
She found me a gi, tried a couple on, found one that fit okay. Showed me around the academy, like, here, this is where everything is, and then right off the bat, we just got thrown into it. So there was nothing too advanced, I would say. Where like I couldn't follow, and not just me, but just like the average person couldn't follow.
Yeah. Did it meet your expectation, or like, okay, this is what jiu-jitsu is going to be, and it's been similar since, or was it totally because some people have that experience of like, oh man, I'm being grabbed and can't move in ways I've never felt before. I mean, what?
So actually doing it, and like seeing videos and pictures and stuff, right? Like in the gun community, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is starting to get really big. Like people are talking about it, like, hey, yeah, you're shooting, but like, go do this.
Cool.
So that was another reason why I was like, all right, fuck it. Like, this is probably the time to go and do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, the ability for someone, like I said, who's like a third my weight to like make it so that I can't move. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Like that's insane. Like what? Like, dude, these not little people, but like, dude, they're like 5 something,
yeah,
and they weigh
comparatively little,
and
people.
they're like they're 5 something, weigh 1 something, and they're like holding me down. I'm like, dude, what? Like, I know I'm tired, but like, I'm not that tired. Like, it's just very technique driven, which I knew it would be, but like not to the extent I think that once I actually got into there, it was. So like,
cool.
I knew it was going to be technique driven. Like you can just watch people who are, what do you call it, sparring?
Like sparring, rolling. Yeah,
rolling.
Sparring or rolling, yeah.
And like, like there's a reason why they're grabbing their wrist. There's a reason why they're, grabbing a collar of the gear. Like they're doing stuff, right? And you're like, okay, that person's doing that for a reason. But I'm like, I have no clue why they're doing it.
Right.
And even day 5, I'm still like, I don't know why they're doing it, but like, I know I'm supposed to probably be doing it.
Yeah, totally.
But it's just technique, man. It's just so much more technique than I would have thought.
For sure. You said you had done a martial art previously, Taekwondo, but that's not a grappling martial art, and I don't think you did it wrestling in high school or anything like that. What was, the first contact like for you? Trying to, or being in someone's guard or having someone in your closed guard for the first time, being that close to another individual where like, oh, this is a totally new experience.
So we fought like that in the police academies.
Okay.
So like, it wasn't like as technical, but we definitely started out like that.
Okay, so you've done some combative type things where it was at least, okay, you've been past that initial contact of like, okay, here's what's going to be close guard, some defensive tactics things.
Yeah, there's something in the academy. It's notorious. It's called Red Man, and it's when they look like they just look like a big thumb, just head to toe, just red padding. Okay. And literally, they just beat the shit out of you. And like, it's called Red Man, and like the exercise is supposed to be like, oh, you're supposed to beat him with like this foam baton, which is literally like one of the pool noodles. Imagine like a PVC pipe with a pool noodle around it. That's literally like your baton. And you just get the shit bit out of you while this dude who is in the Red Man suit is just beating the shit out of you. And they're not feeling anything because they're all padded up and this thing's fucking padded.
Right.
So, there's an okay, I mean, obviously like if someone has a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu background and they're going into the police academy, it's going to be like night and day difference. But like we still got, a little taste of it.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So you're 5 days in. What do you, I guess now that hopefully you're starting down this path for a little while, what are you hoping to get out of jiu-jitsu? I put it in, planted the seed a little bit like, hey, come with me. I'm here. I'm in town. Let's do it. But I'm taking off soon. Do you think you'll stick with it for a bit? What are you hoping to get? What do you see the future of at least your training journey for now being?
So all of the belts, even the stripes, that I gained a lot more respect for people when I see someone who has a purple belt or a blue belt or brown, black. When I see a belt color besides white, I'm like, holy shit, you've been here for a minute. Yeah. Like, you're not here for a month and earning a blue belt. Like these guys have been here for a minute. Yeah. And then, so I mean, just right off the bat, like, not that I was trying to become a black belt or anything right off the bat by any means, but I was like, holy shit, like, dude, if you're going to go down this journey and like you actually want to get belt and shit, you need to be here for a minute. My two goals, I guess, is the fitness and then just the learning. Cool. If I can just learn a little bit more, dude, fighting stamina, holy shit. Holy
just
shit.
So different, right?
Fighting stamina is so much different. It's not running a mile. It's not doing 100-yard sprint. It's fucking, I don't even know, dude. Like, fighting stamina is like some next level shit. Yeah. I don't know if it's like a primal thing that just kicks in, but dude.
Man, it's so cool to hear that because like some of these things like I forget because it's been so long. To one is where I try to explain that feeling to people like, hey man, because I've done a little bit of MMA, some boxing, but jiu-jitsu for a long time now. Unless you know, you don't know, right? Like, so people think they're tough or, want to puff their chest a lot of times. Like, hey, like that's why street fights, and you see a lot of the Gracie breakdowns, they last a minute or less. The guys, especially two people don't know how to fight, right? They grab each other, throw some punches, fall to the ground, something happens, it's over. People are dead tired. And so for you to experience that firsthand and like, day 5 now being like, oh my God, like I see what that is. That's cool to see in someone.
Dude, absolutely. And like I said earlier, my sole goal right now is to just not let them do, whoever I'm rolling with, not let them do whatever they're trying to do. Yeah. Right? Because like you're dead tired on the mat. You just submitted someone or just got points on someone. And then now I'm walking up to you like, okay, now it's my turn to, roll with you. And like, you're seeing me and you're like, this dude's fucking fat as shit. Like, how the fuck am I going to, get on top of this guy or whatever it is. And like, my sole goal is to not let you do whatever you're trying to do. Mm-hmm. And like, that's all I'm trying to do. And even from that, even like between day 1 and day 5, I still already feel better about, like being able to put up a little bit more of a fight. Cool. And it might just be in my head, but like, I feel like I can last a little bit longer. Cool. When we're rolling.
For sure. It was funny because we were texting the other day and I was like, yo, that sub doesn't count. I was like, what? Dude,
I felt so bad, dude. I felt so bad about that one.
Let's talk about it because Kyle texted me and he was like, hey, I got my first sub today. And in my head, I was like, no, he didn't, but I want to know where this story goes. So please explain to me, Kyle, why you think you got your first sub.
So it's been 5 days. And and I haven't made anyone tap. Like I haven't made the dude who is like 5'2", 110 pounds tap yet.
And you won't and shouldn't for a while. That's jujitsu.
Which makes
Just
sense.
throwing it out there now.
And I'm taking a step back. I'm being very humbled. Every single person that I walk up to, I'm like, hey, how you doing? My name's Kyle. Like, and then we tap hands or whatever. I'm like, I'm basically knowing like, hey, I'm probably gonna tap from this, but like I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna try to last as long as I can and everything. But I haven't tapped anyone yet. But there was this one guy.
But you thought you did.
He tapped kind of like. So there was this one guy. We were rolling. Long story short, got up. We were both standing. I grabbed his collar. We were both bigger dudes. He was a white belt as well, but we were both like bigger dudes. So we were tired by the time we were both standing up. Grabbed his collar and then I just slammed him, and his face just smacked the mat. And he was like, and then he stopped, and nothing was bleeding. But he was like, I need a second. I was like, Vic, I tapped someone.
Oh my God. See, I didn't even. Oh my God. I thought you meant via the text, because I didn't understand that you were in someone's guard and you had their collars and just like, we're trying to like cross choke them.
What he did to me today.
Oh yeah, okay.
What Ruben did to me.
Yeah, so via text, like I didn't understand. So I thought it was even somewhat of something you thought you were doing. Gotcha. You literally you shucked. So it's technically a move. Right, if you grab someone's collar.
Yeah, because my next thing was I was gonna like try to get on top of him or like
correct.
Around
Yeah,
him.
you shuck them down and you try to advance position, whether you end up in a guard of theirs, half guard, or their back or mount. Right. So that makes sense. So you got him to the ground, but he hit his face and then stopped.
Right.
Okay.
We were standing like we were like as if like you and I literally were just like this, and we were holding each other's collars, and like I grabbed it, took a half step back, and just like slammed him down. And I think like I said, we were both tired at that point.
So what's actually funny about this is that's shucking people is a really good strategy or good move when you're wrestling in the gi, right? You can shuck a couple times so they either go down. Luckily, he wasn't hurt. That's not what we're trying to say.
I felt so bad. Like I was like, dude, I wasn't even trying to do that. Like I always feel so bad. Or like if I'm doing something and I like accidentally like elbow or not elbow, but like forearm like hits them or something. I'm like, oh shit, dude. Like sorry. Like. And it's like very obvious I'm not trying to like. I have no clue what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah, no, it happens. Okay, so that's funny. I'm glad we clarified that because what I told you and what I told Kyle was, hey, no, you didn't. I know you think you got a sub, but whatever. Because in my head I was like, you were just putting maybe like your fist in someone's throat and they tapped. Like that's kind of what via the text I was picturing.
Grabbing just one side of the gi collar, going over, and then just like putting pressure. I'm like, dude, I need to do that one of these days. Because
so
I feel like
here's
there's
the
a
thing.
lot of
it may get another white belt. Anyone else who's been blue belt or blood.
Exactly. That's the thing. Is like even the white belts at Karatera are not fucking white belts. Like
they're good.
Dude, I'm like, oh sick, another white belt. And then like 45 seconds into it, that fucking Ruben today was like like using my gi to choke me out. I'm like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah, and that's what's crazy about white belt. In again, talking to people about jiu-jitsu is across the board, you never know skill, right? So whether you're wearing the gi, the belts may give you some indication of how long someone's been on the mat. But skill-wise, hey, they could have just come back on the mat, or they could be a 6-year purple belt. You don't know. And that's actually the same thing at white belt. Hey, you're a day 5 white belt, or there's, day 2, or 2-year white belt who's almost ready for the blue belt, right? So it's like, there's such a variance, right? And so that's, again, one of those things that I love about jiu-jitsu. It's a pure truth, because it doesn't, those things don't matter until you slap and bump and you're training, and then you realize what the skill is of that individual. But I want to go back to something you said earlier, because you touching on it reminded me an aspect of jiu-jitsu that sometimes I forget. Right? You said, hey, like seeing any color on a belt, right, gave you so much more respect for that person. Like if you're going down this path, like wow, like at some point, I think, in joking with my friends, you're around it for a long enough time. You see people come and go. And
look, there's a blue belt. Oh, look, there's a purple belt.
Yeah, right. And so I would like lose respect for the white belts and blue belts, because I'm like, I may never see them again. But I forget, like that's still, for someone to get a blue belt is 2 or more years average, right, 2 or more years into the sport that they're putting energy and effort into and learning and growing.
They're going to 6 a.m. classes.
Right.
They're going at 7 p.m. classes.
Yeah,
They're
man.
fucking,
So
like,
for you to say it in like, wow, you have so much respect for everyone reminds me of like, yeah, like everyone's on their own journey, you know. And but I also wanted to point out like for yourself and people who may be listening to get excited about jiu-jitsu, don't let that color looking far ahead feel that overwhelming daunting fear of, can I ever do it? Can I implement these 6 years to get a purple belt into my life? You know, it's like, hey, if you can make it to class twice this week, that's a win. And just, you know, just kind of keep doing that.
Like
you
I
know
said,
what I mean?
man, I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to get, you know, better with the fighting stamina.
Yeah.
And like if a belt or a stripe comes from it.
Yeah,
cool.
exactly. And that's the thing is like, inevitably, if you or anyone stays in jiu-jitsu, they do come. The belts, the colors, and all that does come. Because, and the reason I'm bringing this up is also with that inevitable promotion, there's also the emotional roller coaster, right? Of hey, you're up and like, yo, I'm loving jiu-jitsu.
I just got my blue belt. Fucking
Even
purple's all the way over
you're
here.
3 months in and you're like, you're 3 months in and you're like, I haven't tapped anyone yet. What's going on? Then you get it and you're like, oh my God, I realize because now new people are starting. I'm better at jiu-jitsu.
I can tap them.
Exactly, because the people who are 3 months ahead on their white belt journey and you're day one, they feel like they now know jiu-jitsu. And eventually it progresses and you get to, you know, so that evolution and revolving door, you know, I try to explain to people, hey, just stay on the path because it all ends up being worth it. You know, I almost said at the end, but there is no end. Right. You know, it ends up being like lifestyle, this thing you're always learning. Like I was talking to Mateo, one of their brown belts. It looked like he had 4 stripes on the belt before class last night, and he's been doing it for 14 years, I think. You know, he was a different academy before. I think he came to Kaio's as a purple belt once he moved for work. And he's like, man, I still just love jiu-jitsu, right? The people are just on the path at different stages. See, dude, it's fun.
Like, so it's brown and then 4 stripes. So the next, is there a 5th stripe and then black belt, or is it black belt?
White, you get 4 stripes on your white belt. So that black bar, you get 4 stripes on each belt before you get promoted to the next one.
Okay, typically. So 4 and then promote.
Correct.
And then 4. Okay, so his next would be a black belt.
Correct.
But see, like he's been doing it for 14 plus years.
Yeah.
And he's not even a black belt. So like in my mind, I'm like, holy fuck, dude. Like you can't. I personally feel like you can't get into it being like, I'm doing this to become a black belt.
Correct.
Like I feel like you couldn't, because I'm like, so I'm 25. So it's like, okay, if I fucking stay at this when I'm 40, I can be a black belt. I'm like, dude, fuck that. I'm just gonna like do my thing. My goal is to go to like 4 classes a week and then just try to learn. And like I said, if a stripe belt comes, fuck yeah. If
that's awesome. And that's such a good attitude. And as you start to get more of an understanding of jiu-jitsu, it becomes more fun.
Oh yeah.
You know, it slowly but surely becomes like rolling, you know, just like shooting a gun for the first time, which we'll get into in a second. But the way I think about it is like, it's hard or frightening for some people because, hey, you're tense. You know, that explosion happening in your hands. It's loud. People are shooting in the bays next to you if you're at a range, right? Yep. So like that feeling, you have no idea what's going on. But a year down the road, if you're consistently shooting, hey, you're learning, you're doing draws, you're like, oh,
no problem.
Let me feel this guy, right? So you start going down the rabbit hole, and it becomes more fun, you know? So that process is very similar in jiu-jitsu. So hopefully you'll feel that as the months go on.
Yeah. No, and like I said, like these 5 days and the next, I'm assuming 5 years is just going to be a humble, just taking a step back and just being like, yeah, dude, I might be able to lift more than most people here, but I cannot fucking beat anyone here. Yeah. I'm like, I can't fucking make anyone on this mat tap, dude. Yeah. I can pick the smallest fucking person and be like, let's roll. And then like a minute later, I'm like, all right, tap.
For sure. And you said it earlier as well, like, hey, technique is everything. And in Kaio Terra's gym, on the wall, everywhere, all around, big rim, it says technique conquers all. And multiple times all around. And I was looking at it the other day, like, maybe thinking, man, that's maybe a little much having it in so many places. But then I realized, like, when you sit back and think about it, that is fact. You know, Kaio is not a big guy, right? So, I mean, he's 10-time world no-gi champ, like a 14-time gi world champ. I mean, he's one of the best in the world, one of the best ever do it, right? And
insane.
It's incredible, right? So I'm excited for you. One question that I was thinking about, you have recent newborn, right? You've got lots of things going on. How do you maybe have an idea of how you're going to manage, relationship, newborn, these things that people going into jiu-jitsu maybe sometimes steer away from it because they also have them going on in your life. Have you thought about that at all? And maybe what support system that you also have that you could share that people may want to look for to try and help them implement into their life to be able to start down this path that you're going on?
So I'm a little bit of a special case, I would say, because one, my parents live close for a support system. They live like 15 minutes away. Two, I own my own shooting business, right? So like my shooting instruction business. So if I am teaching, let's say like this week, for example, I'm teaching Wednesday through Saturday. So I'm trying to like overload as much as I can this week up front, maybe get one in here or there Wednesday through Saturday, and then maybe like one or two on Sunday. But like I'm not working a normal Monday through Friday 9 to 5.
Right.
Where if I was, I would have the morning option and I'd have the night option.
Right.
And like, for an example, I wouldn't want to have to wake up early, go to work, and then come home. And then my partner's all annoyed now because I woke them up, right? She's awake now at 5, 6 a.m. because of me. Vice versa. I wake up at a normal time. I go to work. I roll. Then I come home and it's like, 9 o'clock by the time I get dinner. And then we just go to bed and start all over. So it's kind of hard in that sense. Obviously, a support system has been very helpful, right? I can always drop off Adeline at the parents' house and they'll watch her. Brooke also has kind of a situation where she only works 4 days a week. So, I mean, that makes it easy. But she wants to sign up too.
No way.
Yeah, I'm convincing her to sign up. And that's going to help me be able to go to classes. Because, like, for an example, tonight, I'll be like, hey, let's go. And she gets her roll in, I get my roll in.
Cool. So jiu-jitsu is now going to become a family affair.
Hopefully.
I love that. That's awesome.
It'll make it easier to go to classes too.
For sure,
Instead of her being like, why are you going to jiu-jitsu again? Didn't you already go today? We could be like, oh, I didn't go with you yet today. So
Dang, I love this Jedi mind trick you're playing now. No, that's awesome. Cool, man. I think, is there anything else about this, very recent jiu-jitsu experience you want to share that maybe I'm not asking the right question or my curiosity because I'm so far removed from day one that you want to share about day one jiu-jitsu?
I think that at CTA they're just so like welcoming that like even if I have no clue what the fuck I'm doing, even though you're a black belt or a brown belt or whatever, like you're not like my dick's bigger than yours. It's like when I'd go up to a roll and be like, hey, my name's Kyle, like this is like my third day here or whatever. They're like, dude, no problem. So like this is what you want to do. And like they'll use it as an opportunity to like kind of rest for a second because they probably just like had like the role of their life. Like
we do. We use those. We use.
They're like, oh, let me show you. But because I've seen that too, where they're just like dead tired, and I'm like, dude, what should I do? Like what am I even supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
Right. And they're like, oh, you want to pass my guard? And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that means. I'm like, dude, yeah. I get it. I'm supposed to like not be where I'm currently at, and like figuring out how to go from like here to there is apparently like 10 years of jiu-jitsu. But dude, fucking like getting out of someone's guard.
Oh my God, that was the most oversimplified yet such true thing. Like I'm just trying to figure out here to there, but that's 10 years. Like what?
Dude, the fact that people are able to cross their fucking feet behind people and like hold themselves up like that, yeah. Dude, I'm like
the closed guard.
Yeah, keeping your guard closed while people are standing up. I'm like, dude, like some people have done it to me. I'm like, dude, let go. Like, why are you still holding on? But yeah, dude, it's been fun, man, and everyone's been super cool. Because it is like 10-15 minutes away from here. Every time I've got in there, I've met someone in my life who I didn't even know went there at the gym. Wow. So like for today,
did you even know that they did jiu-jitsu until you saw them there? Some of them, or
I want to say I did, but I like forgot.
Gotcha.
Right, because like you're going through Instagram stories and like,
yeah.
Oh, they're at jiu-jitsu. Go on. Like, oh, they're changing their car. You're like, oh, I forgot that you know how to work on cars. I would have called you to help me.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's like, okay. Oh, I completely fucking forgot. So Adam today,
Yep.
Adam took photos for Brooke and I when she was doing her pregnancy announcement, or not announcement, but the whole like baby bump photo, whatever.
Yep.
Whatever. But so he took those photos. He's really good. He does wedding photos and event photos and stuff. So we hit him up and we're like, hey dude, like we'd like to hire you. But then today when I parked the car, I walked in and he was at the front desk. I was like, oh shit, what's up, dude? And he lives in Monterey.
Wow.
Which is like an hour or so south. So I was like, I was not expecting to see you here today.
Wow.
But and then he was a purple belt. So I was like, oh shit, like
Yeah.
And then now I somewhat know what that means.
Yep,
I don't know how long it took him to get there, but I mean it means that he's fucking been there for a minute.
Yeah, he's been training for a while. Yeah, that's so cool. It's so random. I loved hearing that one because I saw him last night at Monday night class. He was there. We didn't introduce each other, but he's familiar face on the mat, and you were talking. Hey, this is my friend. Like, oh,
Yeah.
you know, making
like,
those
I saw you last
connections.
night.
Yeah. So that must be a fun thing, seeing people that you know in the community, and all of a sudden you're going jiu-jitsu and they're like, dude, welcome aboard.
Yeah. Yeah, like when I go to gun stores here, like I'll usually know I know at least the gun store people, but like sometimes I'll run into people that I teach at like the gun store buying shit.
Cool.
And like I'm like, oh cool, like it's cool to like see someone. But when you go to a gym, or at least for me, day 5, I wasn't expecting like I'm gonna know anyone here.
Yeah.
And now I'm saying hi to everyone because like I'm like, oh okay, these are the people who come to these classes.
Yep.
So my first class was the class we did this morning, last week.
Yeah, the 11:30 Monday class.
Tuesday 11:30.
Tuesday, excuse me. Yep.
Tuesday 11:30 a.m. Yeah. So like there was a couple people there that I saw last time, and I was like, okay, cool. Like these are like probably the regulars that I'm gonna keep seeing.
Cool.
But
yeah, and it's funny because something that happens that I talk about in jiu-jitsu is community, right? It's a big portion of it. Like my triangle or pyramid of jiu-jitsu is community, mental health, right, and physical health and fitness, right? So those 3 things for me make up what is awesome about jiu-jitsu. Well, community eventually it starts working the opposite, right? You start meeting people in jiu-jitsu, and everyone, they become your friends, family, like you're doing all this stuff with jiu-jitsu people, and then you start seeing them in their regular life. You're like, wait, you work at this place that I didn't expect. So the process you just described, it eventually will happen in reverse. You know, you'll run into jiu-jitsu people in regular life, like, dude, you had your arms around my neck, like grappling with me the other day. Like, what's up?
yeah. Well, I saw. So while we were doing not Last Man Standing, but whatever that like final roll was today.
It's like a King of the Hill
Yeah.
type of thing, but with multiple groups. And yeah.
I'm watching people. I'm like, okay, like what the fuck am I supposed to be doing? So I was watching you and Andrew roll. Andrew, brown belt, blackie.
Yes. Yep.
Andrew.
And one of those. Andrew.
Andrew.
Yeah. Stocky guy, bald head as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Andrew. Yeah, super cool guy.
Brown belt. Yeah, super nice, super cool. But I saw you guys going after it, and I was like, oh shit. Well, like those are 2 brown belts. I should probably pay attention to that. And it's like so different watching 2 brown belts go after it versus like 2 white belts.
Yeah.
Like 2 white belts, they're sweaty and tired, and like they look like they just want to die when they get up. Like 2 brown belts going after it, they're like, oh, he got my wrist. so like, dude, you're like the stamina's there, the technique's there. Like you guys know, like okay, like oh, I need to get him in this or that. Like it was smooth. Like when you guys were going from like wrists to collars it was all very smooth. Where white belt, and like me right now, I can tell like when I'm rolling, I'm like exerting too much energy in the wrong spots.
Yes.
Like way too much energy for nothing.
Yep. That's exactly why jiu-jitsu is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a knowledge-based thing. So until you know, you don't know. And that round Andrew and I had earlier, which it was a short situation. I started in his guard, and he actually ended up sweeping me and come on top. So I left. But yeah, it's funny because I remember thinking even during that round, cool, because that was our first go. I've seen him a couple times since the week I've been here, but we hadn't trained together yet. I'm in his guard and I'm doing my things, and I'm trying to preemptively stop him from doing what he wants to do, and he's doing the same to try and stop me from. So you create this fun game, and he ended up sweeping me. But yeah, we stood up, we're laughing, so we're like, dude, that was awesome. And we just trot off to the back of the line, it's a good time.
And and the thing too was right before you guys like started going at it, you guys were like, hey dude, what's up? And like it was all nice. So, hey, my name's Vic, hey, my name's Andrew. And you guys did the hand thing, and then you guys started. But it was like a switch. It was like once you guys tapped, you're like, okay, let's do this. But it wasn't like it wasn't like, okay, let's do this and like let's start like again trying to kill each other. It was like, okay, let's do this, and it was like it was very
we're gonna
like,
do jujitsu.
It was very like
play.
technical.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
where like, why, dude, like I am dead tired after every person I roll, and I know that X amount of that is just from the actual fighting stamina and like getting that conditioning up. But the other like Y amount of that is the fucking I'm using way too much energy on the dumb shit.
Yeah.
When I need to be using that energy like for this or for that.
Man, that's so cool that you recognize that already, because again, those are one of those things we talk about in jiu-jitsu. And actually, your friend who's a purple belt, what was his name?
Yeah, Adam.
Adam. Yeah, he ended up, we ended up trailing each other out of the gym at the same time. I showed him the van. He's like, dude, that's awesome. You know, I got to show it off a little bit.
Super cool.
And we were talking about that because he was thinking he may go to no-gi today because he wanted to really get his heart rate up. Because we were saying, hey, yeah, in the gi, like, you know, some of the fundamental classes, if you've been doing it for a while and you're conditioned, right, you're not going to get super tired, you know. Granted, I was still tired today, right? So you got to work out it in, but not like if you're that white belt, blue belt. So we started bantering about, man, jiu-jitsu, the more you do it, and I've heard people talk about this before, is you actually become less athletic, right? Because one of the purposes of jiu-jitsu is to use energy conservation.
Efficiency.
Energy efficiency, exactly. Which in turn means, well, if you're not exerting energy, how are you conditioning? And you're not, right? So the more you do jiu-jitsu, you actually have to focus on your health and fitness in a different way, right? But up until purple belt, it's not going to matter, right? You're grappling, wrestling, whatever.
Yeah.
It's right. So, but it was funny explaining that concept that you're talking about of one that you recognize it so quickly already. Like, I already know I'm using my energy in the wrong spots, because sometimes, hey, white belt's going to white belt it out for a while until like, why am I so tired all the time? Until someone taps it like, hey, stop squeezing everything like that, right? So
there was a super, like I've seen him multiple times, really technique driven, like really solid dude. He's an Indian dude with a blue gi and purple belt, I think.
I recognize him. I know who you're talking about.
Dude, solid, like really nice, like everything. But today when we were rolling, Gabriel, you know how Gabriel like kind of like spout out some stuff to like certain like pairs that are rolling.
Yep.
Like, oh, dude, do this, do that. He was telling me, he was like pick a side and like go, because like him and I were kind of chilling, and then like he was trying to do stuff and I wasn't letting him, and again he was tired, so thank God there. But when Gabriel would be, you know, yelling stuff out, and I'm like, okay, dude, like I'm getting like tired just playing like patty cake with this dude, and I know like he's stalling because he probably knows that my condition is shit,
right?
And dude, I was like, dude, I need to do something.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember how it ended. I mean, it definitely ended with me tapping, but like, or him getting up top, so like he won or whatever. But yeah, dude, I there's just so many variables to this thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's so cool to learn it, because like you guys like when you do something to me, I'm reacting to it.
Yep.
Right. Versus if I'm doing something to you, you already knew it was coming.
Interesting. Yep.
Right, like you already knew, like, oh, okay, Kyle's planting this foot to do that, or he's, you know, grabbing this to do that, like, or he's even reaching for it because he's probably going to do X, Y, or Z, and I'm over here like, oh, he's now grabbing my leg, right? like I'm so much like farther behind.
Gotcha.
You guys are like, oh, Kyle's going for my leg, I should probably do this, and I'm like, he's on my leg, I should probably do this. So like, dude, there's so much shit to it, but it's like. It's a ton of fun, really good conditioning, especially at CTA. All those guys are super cool.
Cool.
Like
Definitely.
Like everyone, like I've never had a single person like not introduce themselves or like be a dick or anything.
Yep.
Like they're all just super chill.
Cool.
So
man, I'm super excited that you've had such a great experience and intro into jiu-jitsu, because like, yeah, when I came down and was telling you, dude, you live close to one of the best places in the world.
That's what I'm saying, dude. That's why I'm like, okay, well, fuck. Now I have to at least go. Like, even if, you know, I don't sign up, it's like, I at least got to go check this place out.
Yeah.
Or you walk in, it's a bunch of rogue fitness shit. You're like, oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, they have a very nice facility, bunch of showers and stuff. And yeah, even for me as a visiting brown belt, you know, I've been, for the most part, everyone's been super cool everywhere I've traveled and trained. But there are times you go into places and people, especially at a higher level, because they think it's way more competitive and let's make sure we show him our gym. You know, sometimes people can have that. It's rare. It's only happened to me once or twice in my entire time of training, which, so again, it's very rare. The majority of all schools are very welcoming. But again, that place, man, everyone's been super cool. And Gabriel, he's, you know, third stripe on, he has 3 stripes on his black belt. Amazing instruction, high level stuff. So yeah, I'm stoked for you. And there is a part of me that's envious and jealous because I'm going to continue my, you know, van life traveling and you get to stay here and train at that academy. So
yeah,
hopefully in a year when I come back and say, hey, you'll be further down that road.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. I might even have a stripe by then.
Yeah, man, I hope so.
But
dude, so let's talk to people about, again, how we met was through the gun world.
Right.
You're a shooting instructor. Talk to me about how you got into that. What was your desire to do that? How you got to where you are, and then we'll get into more of how we met and what your expertise in that world is.
So I've been shooting since about high school.
Okay.
And I would do clay shooting, like, you know, pull, send up a clay, and then shoot the shotgun. I've been doing that. That was basically like the cheapest, easiest way for me to like go shoot. So I did that for a while, and then
before you go further, what got you into wanting shooting to even start clay shooting? Was it just young kid, guns look cool, let's go do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
cool.
video games, airsoft, Nerf, you know, all that bullshit.
Anything that for a boy that goes bang is fun
dude,
for
I
us.
was like,
okay.
oh, this is sick as shit. I think in like middle school, I was writing a paper on the different generations of weapons that humans have used throughout history.
Cool.
And after I turned that in, whatever, my dad took us to Vegas and we shot like everything you could like everything you would ever want to shoot, we shot it.
Sick.
Like full auto MP5s, like AKs.
That's a great intro. That was your first intro into shooting?
I don't remember if it was my first, but it was definitely very early on. But yeah, so eventually just grew. So I would spend my time and money on clay shooting and stuff like that with buddies. And we have a Coyote Valley Sporting Clays over here, which is a really solid clay spot. And I was taking a piss, and right above the urinal, they have these flyers. And it was like, hey, if you want to be an instructor here, let us know. And I was like, hey, I want to be an instructor here. like, what is it? And they're like, we'll give you like a family of 4 or whatever, like want to learn how to shoot shotguns and clays, like you just teach them. And I was like, okay. And I was like, how much does it pay? And they're like, we don't pay you. I was like, okay, fuck it. I was like 20. I don't know. I was 21 or something. Mm-hmm. So I was still in school. Like,
so did you at least get a shoot there for free or something?
So they paid you in clays. So I like calculated it out. I was like, all right, it's basically like $50 an hour. It was like $44 an hour, or whatever, because they give you 100 clays and then you got like a tip at the end.
Cool. So
I was like, all right, whatever. Like, it would be an hour or 2 hours of a morning or something that I wasn't going to do shit anyways.
Yeah.
Might as well. I'm going to use these clay cards. So I started doing that, started racking in the clay cards. But on days where I like really didn't have anything going, I would teach, break for lunch, and then teach. One of those days that I broke for lunch, I shot. And when I was shooting, a dude walked up to me and was like, hey, do you compete? Or like, what do you do? And I was like, no, I'm just, I just shoot for fun. And he was like, well, if you teach me, I'll pay you. And I ended up teaching him, and he paid me like, I don't remember, like $300 or something. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh shit, dude, I just got paid like $300 to teach this guy how to shoot clays.
Dang.
So then I legitimized and then started going down that rabbit hole.
Okay. So what was the next progression? So going from clays, because let's break down a little bit. When I found your page on Instagram, you had a bunch of basic how-tos out for some gear, for some basic shooting stuff, for layout, and you know, some of your older videos that actually helped me as I was starting out, and now you know, you're already full-blown shooting instructor. So how did you make that progression from clay shooting into pistol, red dot, rifle, shotgun?
I was into handguns, rifle, shotguns. I was into all of it.
Okay.
Clays was just like the cheapest.
Gotcha.
So I was getting ready for police academies. One of the police academies I went to, I was top shot. I think I was 19 at that one. And it's just been like training, shooting, going to different classes, absorbing that information, learning, okay, cool, like I liked these parts and pieces from these people. I'm going to implement that into my training. Cool. So even the guys who started training with me back in 2020, it's not the same classes that we have today. The other thing too is I started MT January 2020. So like 2 months into it, everything shut down.
Wow.
Right? So that's why I started doing all those videos, is because we couldn't go shoot.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I was like, well, I can't go anywhere to fucking shoot, but like people are hitting me up and asking me shit. I might as well make these videos.
Cool.
And like I didn't have any cool spot to do it, so I like did it in my parents' like living room. So yeah, it's definitely been a very different journey.
Yeah,
With those
for sure.
initial how-to videos in the garage or like the living room, going, and now we taught at California Range Day. We go to events, we go to ORD, we go to a bunch of fucking trainings.
Cool. Again, I'm gonna slow it down a little because I don't want to get too far down the rabbit hole. I was talking to my brother about how our experience was with shooting with you, with each other, or me taking your course, and then there's just stuff. I was talking with him the other day on the phone, and one thing that came up, which I had curiosity, and I asked you at the time as well. I don't know how it works down in California, but you were going down the police path for a little bit, thinking that you want to do that, and you could do an academy, become post certified, but don't become a cop. So could you break that down a little bit, because that was something I was just curious about and didn't understand.
So in California, there's 2 ways to get post certified, and you need that piece of paper, that post certification, to go to police departments to say hire me as a cop.
Gotcha.
So if I want to be a cop in California, I need to have a post certification, and post is police officer standards and training or standards and testing.
And that post certification, does it work nationally as well? Depends.
Kind of. Gotcha. Yeah, like let's say I take that post cert and I wanted to go to Idaho. Mm-hmm. I want to say, and I could be wrong, that if I was never a cop, it doesn't work. But if I am a cop here and I wanted to go there, then I just need to take like a test that's like, hey, like you understand Idaho laws, right?
Gotcha.
Like,
okay.
Because obviously California and Idaho have very
Gotcha. So
different
that makes
laws.
sense. So maybe a different state doesn't take your introductory paper if you haven't done the job yet. It's
right.
like, hey, well, you're not.
I don't know. I don't know that though.
Gotcha.
Right. I don't know for sure.
Okay.
But I believe.
Okay.
So.
Cool. Yeah. Just ask them the questions.
So getting that paper though, there's 2 routes you can go. There's either the Reserve Academy, it's called the Reserve Part-Time Night. What are their names? Extended. There's a lot of names for it, but basically it's like a part-time academy.
Okay.
So like working class people, college students, stuff like that. They're all different. I've been to 3 of them, but like for an example, one of them is like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night, and then like all of Saturday. So it's like 4 hours, 4 hours, 4 hours, and then like all day Saturday.
Okay. Yep.
And you have to do all 3 of them to get that same post cert, or you go to the 6 or 7 month full-time academy, and then you get that post cert.
Gotcha.
The extended one though, it can be like 11 months or like it's extended.
Right.
But it's part-time.
Gotcha. So well, that's very interesting, and I didn't know that. Again, I haven't looked too much down the law enforcement rabbit hole or pathway yet, because it's something I've been curious about. And I'm 29, so going to my 30s, like maybe that's a path after the van life and travels. Yeah. Who knows what life is going to be? Is that something I want to do or consider? So hearing you talk about that was interesting. So yeah, I could see that where they make it possible for working class people to if they want to do that job and maybe have a life where they can't just shut everything down. Maybe they're taking care of their kids or whatever. They can't. That's a cool way to do it.
Or like we had some people who were financially fucking killing it. Like we had like commercial loan lenders. Like this dude has a mansion. Like all this crazy shit, right? Like those guys who are like, hey, I'm killing it in what I'm doing, but I've always wanted to become a cop. And then like they'll do that, and they won't do all 3 of them, but maybe they'll do like the first one or the second one, and then they'll go and be like a reserve, which is like a part-time cop. Like someone, like when you see them, they're full-on cops, but they only work like once a month.
Gotcha. Cool. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I know I was EMT certified at one point, and I was going down the firefighting rabbit hole. So I was doing testing and all that, and I know a lot of departments in Washington State in that area, they have reserve firefighters, basically, right? Or volunteer firefighters.
Yeah.
Where the job kind of works the same. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, same shit. So I've done academies in San Jose, Santa Rosa, and Fresno. And because they're so widespread, we had people all the way up from Eureka, and we had people all the way down from like San Diego, like teaching at these academies. So I kind of got like all of California, but so little of that was shooting. Like my last academy, we shot 1 day. Like it was like, but that was not like a normal academy. That academy was basically like, you've done everything. This is the icing on the top.
Okay.
Yeah. So like it was basically to just check the box. Gotcha. But we shot 1 day.
Right.
Like, dude.
Yeah.
Like
your job is carrying a gun. Like maybe you want a little more, regardless.
Yeah, dude, and you'll be surprised how many people how many people only go and shoot like for quals and shit? Like my classes are heavily discounted to law enforcement, like literally 50% off. And dude, it's still hard to get people out to come and train.
Wow.
Because they're working overtime, because they have their own life that they're trying to go and live, right? I'm spending 5-6 days at the police department. I don't want to spend that last day of the week doing something kind of police related.
Gotcha. No, for sure.
So
I
feel like it rolls into not wanting to do jiu-jitsu either. It's like, dude, I'm so fucking tired.
Man, and
it's
you
expensive.
See it. You see it. I mean, there are cool programs out there. Adopt a Cop is one of them, big one, where hey, they get sponsorships for cops to train up into blue belt. You know, so it's like, hey, you don't have to worry about the money aspect.
Dude, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a really cool program. But even then, it's sometimes, to your point, hard to get cops into jiu-jitsu still because it's time outside the job. You know what I mean? So there's that 20% of people who may train, may do stuff outside related to the job.
Less than that, dude.
Yeah. So
less than that, but yeah, it's hard, and you can't blame them. Like if I was working at Google 5 days a week, on the 6th day I went into Google just because to make a little bit more money. Why on the 7th day would I want to go home and like do computer shit?
Yeah.
Like,
no, I hear it.
Like,
I
get it. I'm gonna
so,
go to the beach. I want to go to the.
Yeah.
I want to go hike. I do not want to do anything tech related.
Yeah.
Right. Even if it's the slightest, most minimalist thing, and I feel like that's how a lot of them feel, which is very understandable. It's just unfortunate.
Yeah, for sure. No, I get it. Don't make sense, but luckily you're doing your best to help that community with their shooting. So okay, so you got your post certs. What was that progression of trying to build MT, and did you know that you wanted to do this full time as opposed to going into law enforcement?
So I started working executive protection for a residential security team, which is basically like the EP team, the executive protection team, is like the one who goes with the client. And then the residential one is the one that stays at the house.
Gotcha.
It's kind of, it's not technically, but it basically is the lesser, right? Because you're just watching the house basically. Because like these guys can go vacation somewhere and I'm still watching the house. Right. So it is the lesser of the two roles. But I went down that route and then I wasn't particularly, it was cool. It sounded cool. Like I was at a really cool house, but like, it was honestly very boring. Yeah. So like, all I thought and all I wanted to do was like go shoot. I was like, I want to go shoot. And then like 1 or 2 days, they took us to shooting trainings and stuff like this. And I was like fuck yeah, like this is what I want to do. Like I don't want to fucking like watch a house. So then I just said fuck it, and I just went full time MT. Cool, man. And all I did was just ramp up the classes, and it's been really good.
I love that. That's exciting. You went after it.
Yeah.
What was, you said you started January 2020, everything shut down and what was trying to start a business like then at that time and what was, actually even before that, what was your focus with MT? Like, hey, what realm of the shooting world did you want to focus on?
So you mean like law enforcement, civilian?
That or even just aspect of shooting, right? Because there's a bunch of different guns you can shoot, or like how did you know what market you want to cater to and what type of class you want to put on and what firearm?
So the firearms I was open to because I was comfortable with all of them. Mm-hmm. I wasn't like insanely advanced with any of them, or I felt pretty comfortable with especially handguns and shotguns, mm-hmm. but I wasn't like insanely advanced with rifles. But then I started taking classes and whatnot. But when I first started it's what we still do today, and it's just fundamentals. Like everything we do is just advanced fundamentals, and we're very fundamental driven. It's very like, hey, everything you've been taught is bullshit, and like this is why, and like I'm gonna show you why, and then we show you, and then you're like, oh fuck, everything I was taught was bullshit. So it's a lot of like relearning, I guess, for a lot of people, especially cops that come out.
So you're not taking typically day one people who are shooting?
We have tons of day one people.
Okay, cool.
But all we're doing for them is just building them off in the right step.
Cool.
And then the other people, all we're doing is just unfucking them and letting them kind of learn like this is what you're supposed to be doing. Yeah. Like, oh, okay.
Gotcha. Yeah, well, and it is kind of funny because I had one of those moments last week. We shot, was it Friday? It's been a week and a half now. Maybe, I don't even remember. Maybe 2 weeks ago when I got into town was, man, I was just driving too far out, bringing my head down, trying to find my dot, shooting cold, and again, being on the road, not really shooting for 4 months, really, closing company down, and,
But think about it, 4 months to 6 months is how long people qual. Like, between quals is like 4 to 6 months. So, like, that could be your average cop.
Interesting.
So that level of holy fuck, I haven't shot in a minute is the holy fuck, I haven't shot since my last time I qualled.
Oh, that's scary.
Right. So
That's
like
scary.
some people are like that.
That's
like,
wild because typically, like, hey, when I still had the company or whatever, but my style of work was a 9 to 5 and train jiu-jitsu, whatever. But I tried to shoot once a week, if not once every 2 weeks. You know, go to the range, drop a couple of rounds, doing my drills, my dot tortures, my 500 point aggregate. You know, these drills to where cool, I'm staying comfortable so that if I need to, you know, break leather and shoot, I feel comfortable drawing and doing that, and then some dry fire at home. Well, not having gone from that as a lifestyle for 6 months, you know, the 6 months prior to closing the company down, actually maybe even a year, to then not doing it and being like, whoa, this feels foreign.
Well, the way that, you know, that can be translated into the law enforcement world is in the academy, we were shooting every week. And then we qual at the end of the academy. And then I didn't qual again until 6 months after the academy.
Wow.
And in that time, I was so stressed and focused on FTO, which is kind of like the middle ground between graduating the academy, you're with another officer, and then you're on your own. FTO is that with another officer, like middle ground. So, you know, I was so stressed during FTO, which it is, and it's an insanely stressful time. So, like, it's, again, completely understandable, but people's training lacks. And it's exactly that. It's graduated, 6 months later, qualled.
Wow.
And it's like, dude.
Yeah, I get it now. I'm glad you pointed that out.
Like,
which it can be scary. I think you and I both agree on this, and this is why you're a shooting instructor. People need to get better at that, and especially in law enforcement. And me on the jiu-jitsu side, trying to pull people in jiu-jitsu. I believe for citizens, law enforcement, whoever, it'll be a better society if people train jiu-jitsu. But specifically law enforcement, hey, like your life may depend on this one day. And more often than not, civilians' lives depend on it, right? Because the officers are responding to it. But specifically, like, hey, if that's your job, you need to be good at this, you know? So,
especially today with like all the bullshit from, you know, people getting sued and, you know, X, Y, and Z. Like if you're sending 10 rounds, like those 10 rounds better like hit that person.
Yep.
Right. Like,
oh yeah.
Like that was always my thing too. Was like, I definitely don't want to get like in a gunfight and like lose to someone. That's number one. But then number two was like, you know, I want to make sure that I'm comfortable with, I know how fast I can shoot like a C-zone or like a dude-sized target at X distance.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not just going bang, 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 bang because like I'm scared because someone else is shooting at me, which is, again, completely understandable. But I have to like kind of slow down, breathe, and like understand that. And like that's, and yeah, I've never been in a fucking gunfight, so I don't know what the fuck that's going to be like.
Right.
But at least like I know on a flat range what my capabilities are. So it's not just like, oh fuck, I haven't even pulled this thing out in like a month.
Yep, for sure. No, it totally makes sense. But yeah, one thing we were talking about earlier was how I have one of those light bulb moments, right? Where, hey man, I'm driving too far out, trying to find that dot, I'm lowering my head. Whereas if I just actually bring my elbow in a little bit, it naturally raises that red dot a little higher, and then every time I presented, I was finding it. Yeah. You know, so it was cool because it was one of those details where, man, from all the people I've learned stuff here and there, one of my good friends in Louisiana, Greg Lappin, I learned a small detail, subtle detail where I used to death grip the gun too deep, right? So my knuckles were all the way pointed here. Versus if I flatten them out a little bit, I can articulate my
finger back.
Yes, I can articulate my trigger finger, and it completely changed. I was like, oh my god, I shoot like 50% better now, right? Because of that. And I feel like
that's why you go to courses, dude.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
You're like, oh shit, like, oh that's cool.
Yeah, this detail you gave me, I was so stoked on. I've been dry firing in the van, and just like, oh, I can see it every time now because now this is comfortable, and I'm not doing this.
Yeah. Again, you go back to the whole like movement efficiency, like you go back to the whole like energy efficient. Like if I'm drawing a gun, I don't want to move my head. Yep. And we call it like I call it at least, I don't know what someone else might call it, but we call it shooting with our eyes. So like if I want to see something, I'm bringing it up to my eyes and then sending it.
Cool.
I'm not like, you know, where is it? Like, no, fuck that. Like I'm learning how to bring it up to my eyes so that I can send it without having to put in that extra energy.
Cool. Man, from the outside, before you and I met or you started talking, and I ended up getting one of your slides, which I'm stoked about because I rock that shit and it's cool, the green one, on my Glock 45, which is, I love that thing, right? The front serrations, it's a good slide.
I'm a big fan.
But I think you bring great energy and positivity to the gun world, right? Seeing it from the outside, what you're posting, and trying to get people excited about shooting, and also just better at shooting and doing it the right way, which is awesome to see. I think we need more proponents of it's like what I'm trying to do in the jiu-jitsu world. Try to be a proponent, a positive proponent of the sport.
it's all the mystery, dude. Like for me at least, like looking into the jiu-jitsu world, it was all the mystery. It was the mystery and like being lazy. Like the lazy part was like yeah, I know, like because I've had other buddies tell me like, oh dude, you can go roll with us, and I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
But you were in town, and I was like, fuck, like he wants to go to this, so like I should just fucking do it. Yeah. And I was like, okay, cool, like this is pretty sick.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, hey, Brooke, come fucking do this. Like someone like just do it, and then you're like, oh, okay, sick. Like everyone here is really fucking cool.
Yeah.
No one has an ego. No one gives a shit if it's your first day or if you're a black belt. Like they're just there to like help each other.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like, dude, this is sick. Like this is how community should be.
Couldn't agree more, man. No, I love that. Yeah, so I love you doing that on the shooting world. Last thing before we end up going to our second jiu-jitsu class for the day.
Oh yeah, is that time already?
Yeah, 5 so we'll get going in a second. Was when did you come up with the MT coin? Because I'm gonna fucking get one of those one day. I'm not super close right now because I'm still just bang, 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 bang all over the place.
So funny story on that one. I was always using like, I don't remember whose targets I was using, but like when you came to my course, I would just buy these like generic ass targets online. Mm-hmm. And then one day I saw these guys down in Escondido, California, Primal Response.
Yeah.
They teach law enforcement, and then those guys go and teach their agencies.
Okay.
So like if you're the range instructor at blah 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 PD, you go to them. They teach you, they certify you, they do all that shit. You go back to your agency and then you teach your people.
Okay.
And then now they do more like civilian classes and stuff, but that's kind of like their niche in the market.
Okay.
Right, is being post instructors and like putting on post courses. So I was following them on Instagram, and one day I saw them. They were shooting their own Primal Response targets, and I was like, dude, those are fucking sick. Like, where can I buy those? And they're like, you go on Action Target and buy them. And I was like, I can't fucking find them, save my life. And they're like, they're not out there for some reason. So they just sent me a bunch. They're like, you're like, here's a bunch. I was like, dude, that's fucking sick. I mean, since then we came out with our own targets. Like I know how much it costs and shit. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know how much I spent, but like, it was probably dinner or something, right? To send them any targets. But I was like, dude, this like that's fucking sick. Like I want to repay these guys. So obviously I offered to pay them, but we did the MT challenge based off of their targets. So you know how right now it's like AA and then head. Yep. Theirs was AA head on the sides of their targets. Okay. So it was 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 4 5, reload 2 2. So it was like much harder like when we're using those targets. Yeah. Because now it's together. Right. So now they just go 1 2 3 5, 1 2 3 5, and it's like, all right. Like before you had to stop, where now it just sounds like 5 6 7 8 9 10. Gotcha. So, but it was based off of their targets. Okay, cool. And then the whole 7 7 14 thing, 7 rounds. I'm sorry, 7 seconds, 7 yards, 14 rounds, was the tier 1 guys. Cool. Because they have the 777, 777. Okay. They have their drill. So it was just combining all these little factors, and we tried to do the 6 6 14, the 5 5 14, and we're like 7 7 14 is a good like middle ground. Yeah. So cool, man. Those targets, those times.
And it's fun too because I've tried it a couple times now. That one I shot it good, but at timeline, it was the video I sent you on Instagram, maybe last year, maybe 10, 11 months ago. Yeah, it was a while ago. Yeah, I had sent that to you, and I was proud of how I shot it, and even my draw and reload and everything was good, but it was, 9 or 10 seconds. But it landed, and I was like, oh, this is a fun thing to work towards.
It's fun, dude. Yeah, exactly. It's a fun drill. And like the other thing too is a lot of those drills, like for an example, the 777 drill from tier 1, theirs is 7 rounds, 7 seconds, and it's very like precise 7 rounds, right? Like it's always about like precision. Yeah. And like though we like precision, I like throttle control drills. Right. So going fast, slow, like stuff like that, because like that's fucking hard. Yes. To go like as fast as you possibly can, slow down, turn that light switch, and fucking go nice and slow. Like dude, so the head box
is 2x4.
It's literally 2 inches by 4. It's a credit card. Okay.
Yeah.
at 7 yards. Yeah. Like, and you have to get that 4 times. Yeah. Like, dude, it's
tough. Well,
it's spicy.
And I love that. That is one of those that makes it fun because you are like you're drawing as fast as you can, presenting it, and you're just banging, right?
As fast as you can.
And then you're reloading fast, and then you're like, oh wait, I have to find it because I know it's small and blah, and then timer's going off, and it's a fun one. But it's cool to see that. you've put this challenge out there again, trying to make the community better for shooting, or just giving people excitement about this drill, right? You made the coins, which are sick. Do you have one close by?
I have, yeah, they're in here.
Let's see one of these things. I'm just gonna touch it for now because I can't take it with me because I'm not done. Or excuse me, because I haven't completed it. But yeah, let's show these guys. This is one of the Manzano tactical coins right here. They're sick. So it's the 7714.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's a cool drill, and I see people trying to get it all the time now, right? You're reposting it in your stories. 37 people trying it a day.
It's insane, man.
It's cool.
Like I never thought people dude, check out the backside. It's the Garrison flag in California.
Wow. Here, I'll show the backside too so people can see it. So yeah, if you're in the shooting world and want to get one of these coins, check it out. Manzano Tactical on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Cool. I'll put the link to everything in the show notes. But it's a fun one. It gets people excited, and I love those challenges, right? Because
it's crazy, man. Like,
people just stoked about it.
And it's like, oh, dude, like I know that dude, and he shot it at this time, and like I know that dude, he shot it at this time, and like and it doesn't mean because he shot like a better time, but dude, it's cool, man. Like literally this morning, I shipped out one coin to Arizona, one coin to Alabama.
Hell yeah!
Like, dude,
that's so fun.
It's so sick.
Has anyone tried it out of curiosity internationally yet?
I have one dude in Germany who
did he get it?
He hasn't gotten it.
Okay,
he's
getting
like, dude, I'm working on it. And I was like, I don't even know if I can fucking ship something. like, if I wanted to ship something, could I even? And then we just we re-upped on the shirts, and actually these coins, and all the MT coin guys know this, but they fucked up and they made all the coins number 1, and they're supposed to say 1 through 50. So they're all getting these and a shirt.
Cool.
And then once the new ones come in, they'll
be numbered from there.
They'll be numbered, yeah.
Dang.
Like
so if you practice soon and get one of the
original
ones, and you're one of the group of 50 who's the number 1,
yeah.
Dang, if you have a number 1 coin, you're the man.
Yeah.
I love that. That's fun. Any advice for people getting into the shooting world? Kind of how I talk to people about jiu-jitsu. How do you talk to people about guns?
So I think the number one thing is purpose. So like I ask you at the beginning of each class, like, hey, what is something you want to get out of today? And then from an instructor standpoint, it's like, okay, I want to make sure if everyone here is like, I want to get better at reloading. I want to get better at reloading. I want to get better. I'm like, oh, fuck, we better focus on reloading.
Yeah.
Right? So that's like a moment for me to kind of just get what the group's energy is about.
Okay.
Hey, we want to get better at this. Fuck yeah, sounds good. It's usually like a generic ass answer, like, I just want to get better at shooting. It's like, okay, fuck it. We'll just do the day, and like, you will get better at shooting.
Yeah.
I think the number one thing is like vet your instructors. The problem though, because that's what everyone says, the problem with that though is when you're new, you don't know what you're looking at and if it's good or bad.
Right.
Like when I'm looking at jiu-jitsu and people are rolling and like this one dude over here is just tapping everyone, but he's only doing the same move over and over on white belts. It doesn't mean that he is like as good as this brown belt over here who just tapped another brown belt from like a really sophisticated move, technique or whatever.
Right.
So like, I don't know, there's just some things where you look at and you're like, yeah, I get it. There's like, 1,000 ways to skin a cat.
Yeah.
But some of those 1,000 ways are just fucking retarded. Like
for sure.
Like
I love
it's as easy as that. Like,
yeah.
So yeah, man, I mean, shooting is all sights and trigger.
What about the person who's never shot a gun before and is scared to? Have you instructed someone like that, or what advice would you?
Tons of people.
What advice would you get someone get the gun in their hand for the first time? Get them through that fear.
So there's two things. One is like, I'm gonna tell you right now, if I'm home, and I hear someone fucking kick down my front door, I'm gonna thank God that I have a gun next to me, right? I don't give a fuck if I'm I don't even know how the black belt system works, but if I'm a black belt in jiu-jitsu, like, dude, if I have a gun, I don't give a fuck. Like, it's night and day difference, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is like, again, understand why. So one of the people who come to us, she was like, I had a lady in my living room one night, and she was just like standing in the living room, and I thought, I should go buy a gun. The lady like looked at her and said, like, the random lady looked at this lady and was like, you should probably keep your door locked, and like left. And it's like, dude, imagine if like that person was trying to do harm Or
That
like,
would scare the shit out of me.
right, dude? Like you go into your living room and you just see someone just staying there. You're like, what? But like, again, like that was her reason,
Yeah.
right? I have other guys who are like, they're in the competitive shooting world and they're trying to get better. So like, again, I can teach them so much, but like that specific thing, we have like assistant instructors now who are fucking just the shit in that realm, and I'll push them to that guy.
Cool.
So like, it depends on what your reason is or your purpose for getting started. If you want to become a hunter because that's what your significant other does or whatever, and like you just want to go and do that with them, but you're just trying to learn, like, again, there's
Many reasons
so
to
many
get started,
fucking reasons, dude.
But the advice at the end of the day is get started. Go do it. You know.
Go do it. Fucking Instagram's cool because like you can see how people are teaching and you can see like what they teach and what their styles are. But there's a lot of like fluff on Instagram, so you just gotta like weed through that bullshit. And again, as a new shooter, it's like, well, what's bullshit?
For sure.
So like it's so complicated. I would honestly go to someone you trust who's into guns and then have them refer people, places, gun shit.
Word of mouth, man.
Yeah.
It's the best. I hear you on that. Same thing with jiu-jitsu when people are like, hey, like which academy should I go to? Do you have friends in your city that do it? And talk to anyone, you know, and then I'll have my 5 level. Well, if you don't know anyone, here's principles or things to look out for when you go in the gym. Because again, most people are going to be cool, but yeah, you can apply that to shooting as well. Kind of funny, because we got to wrap this up and head to jiu-jitsu. Shout out to my mom, because she had heard, you know, saw me shooting recently with you and heard me talking jiu-jitsu, so she's going to actually start jiu-jitsu coming up.
Nice.
And she also signed up for a shooting course.
Oh, nice.
At the local gun range in Bellevue in Washington. So
very nice.
Yeah, she's getting down the path, because if my mom wants to do it and can do it, anyone can do it for sure.
Dude, my mom comes out and shoots with us and shit, dude.
Cool.
Like, yeah, it's one of those things that anyone can do. And it's fun. There's a lot of like fear around guns. There's a lot of political this and that. When you show up, no one gives a fuck what side you're on. No one gives a fuck what your beliefs are. If you're just there to have a good time, shoot, and like get better, fuck yeah.
You just described the jiu-jitsu match the same way.
Exactly,
hey, if you're there to get better and have a good time, it's all good.
Yeah.
Man, well, let's go do that. Quick shout out. What's your Instagram website? Best way people contact you for shooting cool videos.
If you guys have any like questions or anything, Instagram's probably the best way. Just hit me up on there.
Which is
Manzano_tactical.
Manzano_tactical. Awesome. Let's go get some more
Just
jiu-jitsu.
fucking jiu-jitsu it up, dude.
Guys, if you've made it this far along, finished the interview, I just want to thank you again for supporting me along this journey, and hopefully you got something awesome out of that interview. I really enjoyed doing these, learning so much about life, jiu-jitsu, and everyone has such a unique and interesting perspective. So I hope you got something out of that that you can take with you. And one last reminder, for 10% off on any Jocko Fuel products or Origin USA products, go to jockofuel.com or originusa.com. Support yourself by getting some awesome products, supplements, protein shakes, greens, all that good stuff. It helps support me along this journey, and again, supports yourself and an American-made company. So yeah, jockofuel.com. Check it out, guys. Thank you very much.